His face looks like genitalia. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we can agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Silly child. Okay.
We don't want
So-
CB16 coming after us or whatever
So-
it is. So we'll
so-
just use the word genitalia.
So this is a good segue into the next conversation topic: the merits of male circumcision. Let's go.
There are none.
There are none,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
none.
funny
I
because
agree.
as a Catholic, I am circumcised because my mom, as a nurse, thought that, that was the prevailing wisdom of the time. So I was born in 1970.
What the fuck are you talking about?
No, according to my mom, that was like the prevailing wisdom. Like, oh, you do it for the sake of cleanliness and this, that, and the other, and So my hope, me, my dad, my brother, we're all circumcised.
Yeah, and
That's
I am
fucking-
too. And my dad was not religious, and I'm still circumcised because of that thought process, because it was supposed to be cleaner and whatever.
Yeah.
Little
it's not.
known fact: Jews actually get circumcised not because it's religious, but because that's how we hide our horns. Very
I believe
horn to penis connection.
Interesting.
there was some ridiculous survey. I believe it was done in Africa on a very small amount of people, or a small amount of men, to be honest.
I broke Mouty.
That was fantastic. Hey, you can hide the hook, but you can hide the horn, but you can't hide the hook.
Yeah, the research is based on some very dubious research done in Africa on a very small amount of men who, naturally having been circumcised, then didn't have sex, and they apparently got less diseases than people who hadn't been circumcised, or something ridiculous like that. It's based on some debunked.
So, like the
paper.
anti-vaxxers, peer research paper is the same reason that for 50 years everybody's been getting circumcised.
Yeah,
I had
pretty
a friend who thought it wasn't necessary to circumcise her son, and her son kept getting chronic infections even though they were cleaning and stuff. I don't know why. I think it's probably rare because obviously most of Europe is uncircumcised.
Yeah,
But-
we have that thing called soap, which helps a lot. I mean, I don't know.
I love how the European is telling the
Yeah.
that we're not clean.
So, yeah, exactly.
No,
European
the problem with
hygiene is what it
Americans,
is.
the problem with
Funny,
Americans
okay.
is you're obsessively clean, which means germs attack you more easily.
So
Because
it's sterile. So something that I can say. So my dad, when I was born, I'm the youngest, so I was the last child to be born. He had his, and get this, his vasectomy and his circumcision at the same time. So he was 26 when I was born. So as a 26-year-old man getting a circumcision and a vasectomy at the same time. And once again, he's a man. He didn't do it, and we're Catholic, so there's no religious overtones to this. The prevailing wisdom was, and him being married to a nurse who thought that she was steeped in medical culture at the time, he got a circumcision when he got a vasectomy.
I mean, I think there have been, or they used to think, I'm not sure if it's true, sometimes the foreskin's too small, and that's the only medical reason they've removed it.
Yeah, there is conditions. There are medical reasons for it. It's just not required, and most of those medical reasons won't develop until later in life, until their teens.
And that's the unfortunate thing, though, is later in life. And I don't have a kid, and I don't think it's necessary to do this. But I'm married to somebody who is circumcised, and I ask if he misses it, and he says no. but the thing is like you don't know until it fuses together, and then the circumcision is more painful and worse.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a very interesting story about circumcisions in Africa and religions, which is totally going to kill the mood of the whole hangout.
Please
do.
By the way, I was just joking when I said that this is a segue to a new conversation. We don't need to go this route.
No. Too late, motherfucker. You don't know how it works.
Exactly. You open that box, brother.
Yeah, now it's your fault. Anyway, the story. I used to know. Well, I still know a girl which she works for the United Nations, and some years ago she was in Africa. I can't remember the area exactly, but it was an area which was it was an area which was ridden with AIDS, and one of the
It's called Africa.
Oh wow!
Sorry.
Whoa.
one of the
Good night, everyone.
Holy shit!
I'm trying to ignore the comment. One of the
people, I know that not all of Africa has AIDS.
One of the ways that the virus was spread was there were some tribes in the area where they had circumcisions as a massive introduction thing, for the kids. Now the problem was that they lined up all the kids and they performed circumcision with a knife. They cut to all the kids. The thing was that they were using the same knife. So if one of those kids had AIDS, there were chances that some of them were spread to other kids. So this girl, she was with this mission with the UN, and they figured out what that was one of the problems. So they gather all the tribes and all the head of the tribes of the area together. And they figured out that it was almost impossible to change that thing because that was part of the culture. So instead of going against that thing specifically, they tried to change the thing. And the way they did it was actually really smart. And they said, listen, we are not going against what you believe. That's an introduction thing, that apparently is going on for ages. Instead of using the same knife, we will provide you with a different knife for every kid so that the tradition is safe, but at least you will not spread, the virus in that way. So, I think that if you can talk with people, you can find arrangements even in things which are really rooted and deep in traditions, like they were that way.
So that wasn't half as bad as I thought.
I made a cheeky AIDS joke.
Oh, aren't you happy?
Robbie told a very depressing story. We needed some.
Yes.
And also, Socka, I just wanted to make clear that these hangs are very similar to a jam session I went to once. I went to go jam with a friend of mine. His name's Tony Maselli. He's a vibes player, right? Plays jazz vibes. For those of you that don't know what vibes are, they're like exaggerated xylophones, right? And he's awesome. He invites me over to jam at his house. So I go over. Now, he is like a A-list musician in Philadelphia, and I'm still like a student. So we go in, and he goes, all right, what do you want to play? One of the hardest songs to play in jazz is Giant Steps. One of the hardest other things to do in jazz is to play in odd meter. So off the top of my head, I just go, let's do Giant Steps in 5/4. He goes, okay. And the drummer counts it off. And I was like, I was just kidding. And he's like, that's not how it works. Next thing you know, it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Ba, 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 ba. I lost. I was so lost. And then they look at me to take a solo, and I'm like, solo? I'm holding up on my fucking fingernails to just play bass on this. So that's kind of what this is, Socka. If you're gonna bring up a topic, we can discuss it.
So circumcision, I used to be in a different position on circumcision in the Great Debate community, being that it seemed normalized and has religious roots in my background religion, and I'm married to somebody who is circumcised, and it just is, not something that I thought was unusual. Who changed my mind about circumcision was I was in a debate about it with Jimmy Stevens, the Calvinist.
Oh gosh.
And Jimmy Stevens convinced me that it was an unnecessary procedure, and I changed my view on it. And now, granted, I don't have any kids or anything, but if I did, I don't think I would do it. Because I think you're taking away someone's autonomy. It's not necessary, and you're desensitizing somebody, and there's a lot of other reasons. But I just want to say that you can change someone's mind in this community, and that's an example.
I'm not going to disclose whether I'm circumcised or not because I like to keep the general shape of my dick a mystery until the last second. You don't even realize until bam, corkscrew.
The whole shape.
Are you a duck? Socka duck.
So let me get this right. Socka wants to keep it a surprise what his penis looks like, and then he stealthily wants to put it inside you. So that must mean it must not be there. Must not be much there.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was there.
He's a micro-penis brother in arms, Christopher.
It almost sounds like you're saying, like somebody could wake up next to you and say, are we done yet? And you're like, oh my God, I started and finished 15 times already.
It's no surprise that he agrees with Jordan Peterson. I mean,
well, I almost feel like I'm doc dropping him now, but it's a little known fact that every one of his puppets, his penis is actually right there for everyone to see. It's just wrapped in those socks.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't like to say.
Well, I mean, the problem is that I need 2 hands to operate a camera, so I got to put my sock puppet on something, right?
well, you need 2 hands to operate a microscope. That's what you need.
You need to be very careful with those zircon-encrusted tweezers that you need to...
Yeah, because you need only 1 hand to operate a camera. So
I think out of pride now, I think I do have to expose myself on cam.
Right.